Part 3 of the upgrade, what makes her unique. There's a lot of stress in the home today. My only child is clinging to her mother because we had an argument last night over her misbehavior. I had instructed her multiple times to stop bullying and harassing her sister, but she continued as soon as I left. I then crept back and caught her red-handed, screaming at her to go upstairs, get ready for bed, and go to her room. I suppose I frightened her. Running upstairs, she screamed for her mother, had a crying fit before going to bed, and is being cautious around me today. She's not ready, even though I've asked her to chat to me about it and requested the W to support her in doing so. I'll just have to wait till she gets around, I guess. The W documents haven't yet reached the post office. The D papers were mailed on Thursday and reached our post office today. I think she'll get them on Monday. Today I viewed 2 houses and 2 apartments, one for myself, not shared. Though pleasant, the flats were too pricey. The one house was all right, nice size, good shape, but a lot of yard work. More than I have at my present residence. It's a very wonderful other house. It is privately owned and has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a little yard, and a full basement for storage. After purchasing and completely renovating the house, a couple decided to sell it and turn a profit. Subsequently, the market saw a collapse. They are keeping it and renting it out to specific individuals. That list includes me. The cost is also within my means. That's all there is to it for now. The W hasn't said anything lately about repairing things. She texted the on Friday, informing him about my suggestion to move into an apartment while the kids stayed at their house. He apologized for everything or something along those lines in response. Her texting him back, "You're sorry" is just a reaction, must have enraged her. She reminded me about her colonoscopy appointment tonight at supper time. She'll be moaning this coming week about not having anyone to help her and begging me to take care of her, telling me that her health is in danger and that it could harm our girls if something were to happen. Although it hurt, I persisted in my belief that she must resolve the issue. Since her health is at stake, I assured her that if her was that loving and caring, he would definitely take care of it. I informed her that I was no longer the kind of support a loving husband gives, and that's what she was asking for. By then, she was stewing, so I went to prepare the kids' dinner, cooked something for me after that, although it was obviously sufficient for 2, prior to departing to watch a movie on my own. I informed her that dinner was heating up. Nevertheless, tomorrow is a new day that I hope will be calm. Thank God, we enjoyed a great Sunday together. My only daughter, who had been ignoring me, suddenly started chatting to me this morning as if nothing had happened. Eventually, we sat down, apologized, and gave each other hugs while discussing the issue. I must give my W credit. I asked her to assist communicate with our daughter, and she was able to get us together for a conversation. My other daughter enjoys going places and doing things with me. She's a daddy's girl. To obtain a few items I needed to get my muscle vehicle ready for sale, we headed to the auto parts store. We therefore had a few hours to ourselves. I like spending time with her since we get along so well. My car's potential buyer made me a lowball offer. I said no and made a counter offer. Based on his inquiries and an adequate offer, I believe the deal is off. I spent some time talking with the W about our future plans. She is really concerned about her ability to sustain herself and her financial future. She won't have an easy time with it. Her quality of life will undoubtedly decline. We both still feel that we should try our utmost to keep the children at home. I informed her that I didn't require the house. She can buy me out if she so chooses, assuming control of it or selling it and dividing the proceeds. Unless her work condition really improves and her compensation increases to the mid to high 30s, she appears to want to try and hold on to it. It's not something she can ever afford. I believe that the concept of a shared residence is off the table. I'm left wondering what's going on in the place because we interact too frequently. This week, I'll keep seeking for a place of my own. The one house nearby is still my first pick as of right now. Financial constraints are the only thing preventing me from taking the plunge. I want to know how my recent withholding adjustments are affecting my take-home income. I informed my parents everything about our predicament, and the W told me today that she's still upset. I reminded her that I had also told them everything horrible I had done and that a big part of our marriage failing was due to my actions. She admitted to me that she feels guilty and ashamed of what she did to me and our family. Whoa, I've never heard of that. Even though those feelings are unpleasant, I told her it's good that she is experiencing them. It indicates that the mist is parting and she is reestablishing contact with her moral center. I advised her to take constructive steps to improve her life in order to lessen such emotion. It was those emotions, among others, that gave me the motivation to seek the necessary assistance. It's better for her and the kids if she can get herself back up. However, it doesn't really alter anything in my opinion. For me, it ended with the weekend in a hotel suite with our daughters and the years of emotional torment after her infidelity. My W schedules lab testing and handles intake admissions at a nearby hospital. It was a frigid scenario when my mom had to come in for blood work. W sent me an email letting me know that my mom had seen her, then looked away, giving her no attention at all. I inquired about my W's expectations. She responds that she can tell how my parents will feel about her by my mom's cold shoulder. I suggested that perhaps it would have been better for her if my mother had visited and leaped all over her nonsense in front of everyone. We simply said, "It doesn't matter, it's over." I told my W that even if she doesn't deserve it, I begged my parents to be kind and respectful to her, should they happen to cross paths. Adults don't need to act out or play tricks on each other. Today, I looked up information on the internet on temporary alimony and child support in my state. After running the statistics, it appears that my wife might live comfortably in the house if I were to provide her with temporary alimony and child support. Every month, she'd have about $100 left over. How about barely scraping by? After all costs, I do a little better. I'm going to set up a meeting with my lawyer so we can talk and acquire more precise figures. Would it be improper for me to give her a bit more money than the law requires in exchange for 50/50 custody, as I would like to help her financially? I know you're wondering why you should do it. So, instead of going through the legal system, I would prefer to arrange a custody agreement between us. If at all possible, I really don't want to make my kids sit through hearings and interviews. If she consented and we proceeded only with the in-depth procedure, the custody precedent would be established in the event that a court file was necessary. Now that the status quo has been established, I am in the lead. If she files for child support, the additional payment would only be agreed upon by her and myself and would be made temporarily outside of the legal system. Or alimony, in which case everything is on the line while we fight for the children and my minimal payment. I'm trying to stay away from anything that involves my girls and paying a lot of legal bills because of that. I did a lot of reading and study online, and I believe I have a decent understanding of the child support and temporary alimony payments. I'll schedule a meeting with my lawyer to hear his opinion and find out how close my numbers are. Despite my earning 75% of the total income after paying child and alimony, having 50/50 custody pretty much levels the playing field. In the end, I receive 55% of our total income, while she receives 45%. I receive 65% of the amount after the deed is finalized, with 35% going to her. This is the end of the temporary alimony. By then, she had best land a much better paid job, or she'll go under quickly. To help me figure all this out, I asked her for some financial information, such as her gross compensation and her retirement contribution. Pay stubs are not sent to her. She also declined since I'm not going to take her to the operation on Friday. She informed me that I should give it to her if I wanted it. That's the way it will be. She just won't talk honestly about what we need to do moving forward, so I'll have to acquire court orders for everything. My dad promised to take her to her appointment when we spoke about all of this. If I informed her that my dad is the one who got her a ride, wouldn't that mess with her head? She was so embarrassed that she would never accept. Even better, I promise her I'll handle it, but my father arrives to get her instead. Hey, at least I gave her a practical answer to her transit issue. Real estate news. Today during lunch, I went to look at a half house. It has a 2-car garage on each end and is fashioned like 2 little ranchers joined together at a 30-degree angle in the center. It was little over my financial limit, so I had written it off. I was asked about it by one of the realtors I'm working with. I told her the rent was a little on the high side, and she said I should take other things into account. It lacks water because of the sand mound and well. It features a 99% efficient air system with modern geothermal heating, and the owner handles all outdoor maintenance. It's in the same school district and a half-mile from my kid's house. I knew this was the one as soon as I viewed the inside. It's only had one tenant and it's less than 10 years, and everything is in perfect condition. It's empty and ready to move into, with excellent walls, new-looking carpet, ceramic tile in the kitchen and bathroom, and newer, contemporary equipment. Now, if I could just arrange for my W to have 50/50 custody, I could free the EFF from my present state of mental turmoil. Now hear this, my dad and mom were at the hospital where my W works today because my mom got her colonoscopy. Wife waved hello to dad when she saw him. He gave her a wave in return and went to greet her at her station. How are things going for you today? She gave her best effort in her response. So, my dad reaching out to her and being courteous helped to reduce some of the tension that was between my mom and her yesterday. Today, we finally went to the post office to pick up her divorce papers. Didn't discuss them with me, though. No budget talks tonight as she failed to present the wage information I requested. I took 2 online articles regarding the benefits of joint custody and printed them out. After reading them, she inquired as to my thoughts. I told her we should split our time equally, like a 50/50 timetable. She doesn't know how we can accomplish this, hasn't done any research, or even given it much thought. I informed her that I was experimenting with several timetables today, and that I could provide an example for her. It was of the 1 week on, 1 week off variety, which divides the kids' time rather evenly. Well, she doesn't get home till 6 due of her work hours, 30 p.m. She therefore gets the girls to school that week. Then, before she comes home, I pick them up after school. Next, I modify my work schedule for the week so that I can drop them off at school and obtain a babysitter before returning home at 5:30 p.m. because I pick the girls up from school and watch them until she gets home. I get to see the girls every late afternoon during her week. To make things even, I wrote in an overnight for her during my work week. She noticed that I would see them from Monday through Friday during her work week, while she receives an overnight instead of seeing them during mine. She loses it and tells me that won't work. My week is the only one she gets to see them. Too much time has passed without them, etc. Although she receives an overnight stay, she believes that this is not the same as my spending 2 hours with them every weekday. We can hire a sitter, I informed her, so I don't have to watch them. However, at that point, her thoughts had already closed and she was just angry. She wasn't in the mood to discuss, even though I reminded her it was just a draft and we could iron out the details. She says she needs to visit her attorney and has a lot to consider before making a decision. I'm aware of what she'll do. She'll ask to have primary custody and state that's what she wants. She can, the lawyer will assure her, and that will be her stance. My top real estate pick is currently up for grabs and I could lose it. In 2 weeks, the product of my second pick will go on sale. I will have no choice but to file for custody or forfeit 2 excellent housing prospects. However, doing so will let her into a hornet's nest. Sometimes life stinks. Since school started today, our plan was predicated on the assumption that we were wedded and living together. I pick them up after school after she gets them up and gets them to school. Until she gets home from work, play, start her homework, then start dinner. This was the main strategy for the year, and both of our job schedules allowed it to go smoothly. However, as I already mentioned, having joint custody and being apart definitely messes with the timetable. She tells me she got the D papers last night in bed. She anticipated that they would be more. What the hell? She tells me that she fears what lies ahead. Do you realize how much you've done for me over the years? She asks me. Actually, I reply, no crap Sherlock. I do realize how supportive I've been. That's why it's even more difficult to grasp what you did. You wasted a really nice life. She pauses, then says, just like your addiction to alcohol. I was unable to escape my emotional addiction once I became entangled in it. She tells me once more how angry she is that I told my parents. What if, she asks, we end up getting back together later on? She claims she will now be the adversary forever. I told her that I had also divulged all of my dirty secrets. She claims that because I am their son, things are different. Yes, I will give that one to her. As she puts it, we need this time apart to learn about ourselves. I tell her that I've come to my senses and that I want to end this marriage and get on with my life. And so we left it there. I recently told us that I have separate bank accounts. She's so damned angry right now. Says, I'm going to cut her off. Says she's ready for the keys to our home. Yes, exactly. Says, I can't use our old PO box, get me my own. She claims she wants the keys to my apartment, which I haven't even yet obtained. She babbled on and on. I switched my direct deposit to my new account, but they sent me a paper check in the process. She asked me why she had found that in our mail. I assured her that I have accounts of my own. At that point, she lost it. I told her that nobody is being disconnected. I still have to pay the bills for the time being since I have to maintain the household and our kids. Calmly, I informed her that after she signs the D papers, she can have all the autonomy she desires. Takes full responsibility for the home she will live in when I vacate. It seems easy enough to understand. I replied that I will keep providing for my family and that I still have access to our marital residence until that time. She then veers off topic to furniture. She tells me you can't just take some of the furnishings we had when we were married since you know everything about it. I'll wager that a dining room table and bedroom set were bequeathed to me by my great-grandmother and grandmother. With the exception of these handful, most of the furnishings will remain with her. I'm taking those with me. I'm a bundle of nerves right now. She aroused my curiosity. Breathe deeply, breathe deeply. W gives me a call this morning at work. I see her call coming in while on another call, but I can't answer it. Then she asks me where I am on my cell phone. Are you working somewhere? I reply, yeah, I'm at work. I was on another call, to her. Then she asks if my cell phone was taken. I am unable to locate it. I answer coolly, no, I didn't take your phone. I haven't even seen it around. In fact, I tell her that I don't need to accept it. Since I filed for a D, I don't really care what she does with it because it's always locked. She responds that I had already taken her cell, saying that I seized her hidden cell. I correct her. More than 2 years ago, she stopped using her normal phone. I then tell her to scan her surroundings and all of her hiding spots. She promises to keep searching. I wonder whether when she finds it, I'll receive an apology. I never even attempt to touch it. Her cell phone was located. Last night, I noticed it connected to the electrical charger. She said nothing at all to me about it. Not that she looked for it, nor did she say sorry for saying I had taken it. Almost exactly what I had anticipated. I spent last night at an IC session. I had not seen him for about 3 weeks. I told him everything that had happened with the hotel suite. Me filing for D with my kids. He was in complete shock and horror at what she had done. When we last spoke, we had just finished our first MC restart, and there was still some hope. Having seen her over the years since I started seeing him, he is fully aware of her antics and mannerisms. However, this one was the best. He totally agrees with my decision to D and leave this insane woman behind. Yes, he did refer to her as crazy. We both concur that she needs to see a therapist to address some very serious mental and emotional problems. The poor woman is in need of assistance, yet she is blind to her own needs. I can't stay in a poisonous relationship with her even though I still love her, which saddens me. Occasionally, I reflect on the emotional distress she has inflicted upon me and the harm it has caused. I feel wounded on the inside. How is this going to affect my next relationship? Can I put my heart and love in the hands of another woman? Well, I don't have to worry about that right now. I have to keep my attention on my daughters and the separation for now. I'm having a rough emotional day. Tomorrow marks my 12-year wedding anniversary, and I'm incredibly sad on the inside about my marriage ending and my family's impending disintegration. She inquired about my intentions for the day. I told her I had nowhere to go and no plans cannot be placed until we come to a parenting plan agreement. She then continues, well, you know what I want, which really infuriated me. After what she's done, I informed her she doesn't deserve a single thing. There you go again, becoming agitated, was her response. With you acting that way, we are not going to be able to come to an agreement. Before I did something I would later regret, I had to get up and leave the room. She went 2 hours north to spend the night with her mother, taking one of our girls with her. While she was staying with me, my other daughter asked her best friend over for a sleepover. The two pals are enjoying themselves immensely. We went to a really great neighborhood playground after dinner at Friendly's. They are currently playing video games till it is time for bed. When I walked into our bedroom to fetch the phone this afternoon after the W and daughter had departed, I noticed a big lump hidden behind the bed linen. I discovered 4 boxes with macaroons, chocolates, fudge, and taffy along with a note as I drew back the comforter. These were meant to be a present, according to the note. I hope you find them enjoyable. How in the hell? We were pressed for time at the beach on our July family trip, so I was sad that we didn't purchase any taffy. I adore saltwater taffy, as she is aware. Really, though, what in the world am I expected to do? Go all in and stuff your face with delicious candy. I have stacked her nightstand for when she returns from her mother's house. After what happened, there's no way I can eat any of those food. On our 12th anniversary, W and daughter returned home late on Sunday from her mom's. That night we didn't talk at all. Then, we both had yesterday off from work to spend with the girls at home as it was Labor Day. We didn't say much, just enough to discuss the girls' schedules for this week and our plans for supper. She cleaned a lot, undertaking tasks she hadn't done in the previous 2 years, such removing the stove and refrigerator and rearranging the dining room furniture to make room for cleaning. We spent most of the day avoiding each other. Our daughters selected a few games and the 4 of us played together because they wanted to have a family game night. They enjoyed it, but I found it to be torturous. Knowing that this is all likely going to end this month, my heart just wasn't into it. It was both bitter and sweet. This afternoon, I'm meeting with my lawyer to discuss child support, temporary alimony, and other matters. I've been analyzing financial data until my face is blue. She hasn't really thought about it. She seems to believe that since I filed for D, I should handle all the details. If she would have a reasonable conversation with me regarding the money and custody matters, it would be much better for all of us. If not, I'll merely need to file with the judicial system and, if she wants to, let her defend her stance. Her irrationality is what truly gets to me. She thinks in a rational but extremely emotional way, and I find it difficult to communicate with her about very important things. She is unaware, for instance, that even if she receives the maximum amount of alimony and child support permitted by law, she would not have enough money to support the home. She'll start to falter in 2 or 3 months and won't be able to pay the mortgage or other payments. I find that really concerning since we might lose our house if she fails. At the risk of our children, I either let it happen and let her fall hard, or I support her once more to keep the house running, save our clothing from an arbitrary house sale and keep our kids in their home. She acts in such an irrational manner because she knows that by doing so, she can have some minimal power over me. The ideal arrangement would be for me to remain in the house, for her to move out, and for us to split the kids 50-50, but she won't let that happen because she believes it will make me stronger or enable me to win. We are therefore currently at a standstill. W and I have only been able to discuss the D and its consequence for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. She loses her temper easily and isn't amenable to considering all the options. Her only thought is that the children ought to remain in the marital residence and live with her. And I receive garbage. I give up equal access to my kids, the home I created and planned before we got together, the vintage automobile I purchased before we got together, half of my retirement fund, and so on. All of this is beyond difficult for me to rationalize, and it is internally devouring me. She betrayed her husband and kids, had the affair, and ultimately comes out looking quite decent. Damn it, it's just not right. The order should be reversed. She gets her own space while I stay in the house with the kids. However, there isn't a way to stop this from happening. Since none of the proof I have on the affair is acceptable in court, I filed for a no-fault divorce. She is obligated to use every opportunity to postpone it for as long as possible, up to 2 years, because I want the D. So, similar to the 3 years of her affair, I'm stuck in limbo land for a considerable amount of time again. But I'll be looking in from the outside this time. I now know how some normally rational people can lose their minds. How much should an individual take? Yesterday, I met with my attorney for a follow-up. He essentially validated the figures I had calculated for temporary alimony and child support. The court would adjust things slightly, but just by a few bucks. Near enough to know I'm in trouble. That must be my punishment for marrying a crazy cheater, huh? He made it clear that until we come to an agreement on child custody or I apply for custody, I will have to live with her. She will receive custody papers if I file. To find out where we are and attempt to come to an agreement, there will first be a session with the W, myself, and a family court judge. After that meeting, if we still can't come to an agreement, a hearing is set for which will include legal representation, a judge's interview with our girls, and a court session, in order to decide custody without the children. Again, we are at a standstill right now, even though neither of us wants to put our children through this. My lawyer is always telling me to settle it amicably. How am I going to do that? My W only thinks emotionally when she isn't thinking practically or logically. Other than brief chats regarding the kids and their schedule, I haven't spoken to the W in a few days. I texted her last night to ask that we re-talk about custody and money. She says to me, "So you don't talk to me for days," when she returned home instead of responding to the text. And now you're expecting me to just start a discussion, to which I answered, I only talk to our girls about money and our females only. I don't want to discuss the weather, her day at work, or anything else. The kids heard us, which took W and me off guard. However, we immediately recovered when we realized that they still believed we were talking about D and not the procedure. We thus asked them a few questions regarding their feelings. What if Daddy moves out? W asks them, what if he's 2 minutes away, right down the street? You still get to see your parents on a daily basis. Both girls refuse to back down, stating that is insufficient. They want our two parents to live with them in the same home. They don't want step-parents, partners, or girlfriends in their lives. According to daughter 1, a family should consist of all members, not divided. I'm starting to lose it at this point. My chest is bursting at the seams with my heart. W is in tears. Girls are sobbing. W tells them it's only a conversation and everything will be fine when we give each other some hugs. We shall always have unwavering love for them. Come on, let's go finish our project so Mom and Dad can talk, says daughter 2 to daughter 1. They then return downstairs. I'm breathing heavily at this moment. I feel like my chest is constricted. I have to get away, go somewhere for a little. I pick up my keys and tell the girls I'll be back shortly to retrieve the mail. I lose it as soon as I step out of the driveway. I'm yelling at my W and crying uncontrollably, banging on the steering column. I can't drive in this state, so I pull over in a parking lot. I sob for about 15 minutes, after which my tears end and I am numb. For an hour, I sat there, waiting for a sensation to come back, for a spark of inspiration to drive, to move, to do something. Eventually, I gave the car a start and headed back home because I had run out of options. The children were waiting for me inside with their craft when they heard the garage door open. They had drawn a picture of two people getting married with flowers all around them on the computer. They framed it using an antique picture frame they acquired. They explained to me that the two were their parents getting married and starting a happily ever after. After expressing my gratitude for the amazing present, we headed upstairs to prepare for bed. W didn't say anything to me this morning or at bedtime. I am at a loss for words with her. We can't agree on custody. There isn't anything more I can think of to do but file a case and take this to court. I simply can't bring myself to put my children second or take a backseat. I want to spend equal time with them as a very capable and involved father. I'm not feeling well and had a rough morning. Right now, my nerves are strained. The one bright spot so far this morning is that my personal account's direct deposit has begun, and after reducing my retirement, I'm taking home a little bit more money than I had planned. It appears that STBX has come to terms with the fact that our relationship is over and is continuing with her plans to be single. She placed an order for bedroom furniture yesterday, and she can't wait for me to get rid of anything that makes her think of me or our family, like our bed, the wedding dishes we were given, or the furniture from my grandmother. When I asked how the attorney appointment went, all she responded was that it went well. She continues to communicate with the other man. Having gone through a divorce himself, he is offering her advice on the matter. She mentioned that I wanted to arrange our support payments outside of the legal system. He instructed her to petition and obtain a court injunction to secure it. Well, all I can do is handle it when the time comes. It's a tie for custody. She basically intends to battle until the end to obtain primary custody. It would seem that living in the same school district would work in my favor. I will thus be leasing the space today. I will pay the deposit at lunchtime today, as I informed the realtor over the phone. I had just scheduled a Monday meeting with my lawyer to submit a custody request. With me, she is really two-faced. She puts on a sad, understanding, compassionate, and conversationally open face for me. On the other hand, she is brutally honest and icy with others. This custody dispute will not be pretty, and it annoys me. All I'm asking for is the continuation of our current arrangement, in which we both participate in and share our children's lives, as we have been doing for nearly a decade. I'm the one who tells them I love them in the morning before school, she keeps saying, or who do they want when they're sick? Nope, when kids get up for school, I'm at work. I hope and pray that a judge would look past this biased nonsense and recognize the contributions we have both made to the lives of our children. I apologize for my tirade. This was not how I wanted things to go. Next week, I'm going to file for my twin children physical custody. My lawyer suggested that I apply for primary physical custody, with the W receiving some weekly visitation and every other weekend. In order to negotiate down to what I actually want, which is 50/50, he wants to start at the top. I get the idea of asking for more than you require and then making a compromise to get what you initially desired. He is unaware of my wife, though. It will absolutely enrage her, possibly drive her temporarily insane, and lay the stage for a full-scale custody battle if I apply for primary custody. I would hate to provoke that kind of confrontation. However, if I ask for a 50/50 split up front, I won't have any space for negotiation and might wind up with less than I had hoped for. Update and confer with custody. Yesterday, my lawyer and I had a meeting to discuss my custody application for my 2 kids. He significantly allayed my worries regarding mom's rights and girls' advantages over a father's. Over the past 20 years, numerous modifications to the custody laws in my state have essentially given both parents equal standing before any custody decisions are made. Not to mention that he and the judge used to practice law together and are of the same age. They have a good fix, he claims. I initiate the process by submitting a custody claim, essentially suing for primary physical custody on my STBXW. Papers will be served to her if the percentage is 70% or above and there is 50/50 joint legal custody. After that, the judge, lawyers, STBXW, and I have a conference. Exhibits, evidence, and testimony are all prohibited. The judge and parents are merely exchanging words to determine our positions regarding custody. My lawyer wishes to approach the conference with a constructive approach. Rather than tearing her down now, if necessary, he wants to strengthen me so that I can be a better parent. And I can give him countless examples of how I've been a caring parent, a good provider, a wonderful father, etc. over the years. Additionally, my advantages include having a safe and secure location to live, being in the same school district, and being only 2 minutes from the marital residence. A hearing will be arranged if an agreement cannot be reached during the conference. I'd prefer not to go there. There would be evidence, witnesses, testimony, and maybe even interviews with the children during the hearing. All the worst stuff would happen here, and I truly don't want to go there. Co-parenting will become even more difficult if we reveal all of our junk to the court and start assaulting one another. It wasn't a good night last night when I attempted to have my 5th conversation about custody with the STBXW. Now that the D process has begun and she is beginning to see the harsh reality of what she is going through alone, she is feeling a great deal of resentment and rage building inside of her. She began to say hurtful things to make fun of me and to incite me, like that maybe I should push her or beat her to obtain what I wanted. Expressing opinions about what a bad spouse I was. I refrained from biting. I once laughed aloud, which really infuriated her. You think it's humorous, but wait, she says. I laughed in response, realizing that what she was saying was highlighting how right I was in granting D and C custody. That effectively silenced her. Following a lengthy delay, she sighs goodnight. She lay there for a long while, until finally she nodded off. It seems like her thoughts were keeping her up at night. Thus, I want to proceed with my custody application. The claim must be documented today, and either this afternoon or early tomorrow morning. I will sign it. She will then be served once more after it is filed at the courtroom. As for the opus, do you think they'll survive this nightmare? I'll do my best to fit the conclusion into part 4.